Okay, so this week's parsha is Parshas Korach, and in it is the whole idea of Korach when he had the back and forth with Moshe. And it's interesting, the Gemara learns out a lot of dinim, a lot of laws about how a court is supposed to act from this parsha. It says in Perek Tezayin Pasuk Yud Beis, back and forth with Moshe and Korach. So it says that they were having a back and forth, and it says in Pasuk Yud Beis, Moshe then called Vayishlach Moshe likroi lidasan v'la'aviram b'nei Eliyav. So, being that Dasan and Aviram were being pulled into the fight, as you know, because Dasan and Aviram, they were from the tribe of Reuven, right?
But their names came up before. They were already known from something before, weren't they? They were the ones that wanted to go back to Mitzrayim.
They were part of They were part of the Erev Rav. They were with the Erev Rav.
Right.
So they were from the children of Reuven, and the problem was they had neighbors. The neighbors weren't so good, and we saw earlier, Oila Rasha, Oila Shchenai. Oila Rasha means woe is to the Rasha. Woe is to a wicked man. That's because he's wicked. But Oila Shchenai, woe is to his shachen. A shachen means neighbor. Woe is to the neighbor because he also gets rubbed off.
Secondhand smoke.
Right. And therefore that's what the Mishnah calls it. Mishnah and the Goyim speaks about this, that the neighbor of Korach was Reuven. Right? As you know, the way the tent looked, the Oel Moed, was that in the middle was the whole Mishkan, in the middle of the whole camp. And around the camp was the Levium, and around the Levium was the tribes. So Korach was on the second side, right, and right in front of him, on the outside, right, there were like
It was like concentric circles.
It was like you got like a.
This is kind of an interesting question, though.
Yeah.
Korach was a Levi. He had the status of Levi. So why would he be from Reuven?
That's what I'm telling you. There was the Mishkan. The Mishkan, let's put, was right here in the middle.
Okay.
Around the Mishkan camped the Levium, and they would travel right around it,
Right.
and they would set it up and take it down. And on the outside was all of the tribes around the Mishkan.
We're in the third circle. Yeah.
So
Right.
here was, let's say, Reuven, right, in the front, right, let's say, well, Korach was on this side, and the tribes on the east was Yisachar, Yehuda, and Zevulun, but on this side was Reuven, Shimon. So Reuven and Shimon were right here, right, Reuven, Shimon, and Gad. So Reuven was right next to Korach, so he had a bad effect on him. So Korach started his disparaging campaign, and it rubbed off on Reuven. So therefore Reuven now came along, and Reuven started, the children of Reuven, Dasan Aviram and Oin ben Peles, he started having an effect.
So they weren't related. I thought there was some
Who?
kind of Korach to Dathan and Abiram. They weren't related by marriage or something?
Who?
Sister-in-law?
Korach and Dasan and Aviram?
Yeah, there was a relation.
This is where we get the
No?
pasuk that says Al-Chik mi shachen ra.
That is, it's the same idea. It's the same idea. It's not where we get it from. That's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, and when I'm telling you Oila Rasha, Oila Shchena is a different Mishnah in Negoim. In Negoim, I believe, with the way it gets in there is if there's a negaf, there's a little bit of leprosy on, I think, a stone, so you have to not only take down that stone, but you have to take down the stone next to it also. Oila Rasha, Oila Shchena. That's where the term, that's where the name comes up.
So who is? It says that Dathan
And Aviram,
the sons of Eliab.
Eliab, right?
And was there a relationship there with Reuben?
Yes. No, so there was no relationship except that he was his neighbor. They were both on the south side.
Neighbors of Reuben?
They were both on the south of the Mishkan.
Oh.
So therefore, Korach was...
They were in the tribe of Reuben.
Who? Reuben. They were
in the tribe.
Yeah, they were.
Tribe of okay.
Right. Korach was in the tribe of Levi,
okay.
and he was on the south side of the Mishkan, and right next to him was Reuven. Okay. So what happened right now? Let's go to the next page. Plus a good base. So in verse 12 it says that after this whole business, right, and they were having a rebellion now. Moshe already he fell down. He said, "Oh, what's happening?" He fell on his face. He was praying, and they made the test. So it says in verse 12 that Moshe sent for Dasan and Aviram to come. Vayishlach Moshe likro, right, page 822. 822 right here.
Oh,
verse 12.
Yeah.
Vayishlach Moshe likro leDasan Aviram. He sent to call them. Bnei Eliyav, the sons of Eliyav. Vayomru lo na'aleh. So they said to Moshe, lo na'aleh.
No.
Right? We will not
Go up with you.
Get
Right.
up, yeah.
what? Go up.
Why not why stand up? Why not
Na'aleh means go up.
go up? Why were they
Right.
going up?
Uh,
Why not go to?
well, I guess Moshe maybe.
Lo-
Yeah, I want to know why he was. What does it mean up?
Not go up.
So I guess literally, the truth is Rashi asked the question. Could be maybe they were on a plane. Maybe they were on a flat surface. But Rashi brings down that their mouth tripped them up, and they said those words. We're not going to go up. She'ein lehem ela yerida. This will be
And they're going down.
their downfall. So
Wow.
it could be that.
Prophetically, they must have known being with Moshe is an aliyah as opposed to a Yerida.
Oh.
So, but they had a real Yerida down because of this. They went down because of this. That's what Rashi brings down. And the truth is, and where did they go down?
To the pit.
To the pit. The earth opened up, and they went down. So they said, Loi na'aleh, we won't go up to you. Maybe Moshe was a little bit higher. Maybe he was, you have to know exactly, was he on the mountain, whatever. But they said, we're not going up to you. You're right, they're going to go down.
Wow, so they went
That's what the
pit.
pasuk says. And it's interesting just to look at what they said back. They said back, Hama'at ki ha'alisanu. Hama'at, is this little? You look what you did already. Ha'alisanu me'eretz avas chalav v'dvash. You took us out of the land of Eretz avas chalav v'dvash. Which land is that? You took us out of the land.
They never were there.
No, they
But
call
that's
it
what they're
Mitzrayim.
saying.
They're calling
They're
it
saying that they
Mitzrayim.
were. You took us out, but they
You
never
took us-
went in.
But you took us out of the real land of milk and honey.
Oh.
Yeah,
Which land is that?
Egypt.
Egypt.
Sorry, yeah.
They said, what are you doing? You took us out of the land of milk and honey.
Of course.
Lahamisenu BaMidbar. You're trying to just kill us in the midbar. Ki sistorer aleinu. You're trying to just rule over us like a sar. Gam historer. Why are you want to just rule over us? What are you doing to us?
How easily they forgot how it was in Egypt.
Right? All of a sudden now it becomes like, oh, we missed out.
Yeah. Well, right. Hold on.
So
He's talking about Levites, and especially talking about Korach and the 250 people. That's for their top Levites. That's not just the regular Levites. First of all, Levites never was a slave. They were always free in Egypt, so for them it was milk and honey. It makes sense. Now you're talking about Korach, who were actually, like any company who wants to do well, their how it's called, IO or no, the chief accounting officer is always Jewish. So he was chief accounting officer of the Pharaoh, as funny as it sounds. With all the Jews to being enslaved, he had the money, he had everything pretty much. And then the Levites, they're also the 250s that, they're all also in the high positions in the government.
Themselves.
When you, even in Canadian government, when you reach a certain level, you become certain.
So what did he say here? So he said that they complained. Next verse says, you didn't take us to the land of milk and honey that you claimed. Rather, you said you're going to give us land with fields and vineyards. You didn't do that. Rather, the last words of this verse are ha'ene ha'anashim ha'hem. The top of 824. Ha'ene, the eyes of ha'anashim ha'hem, of these men. Tinaker, you should gouge out. Loi na'aleh, we will not go up. What does that mean? See, so Rashi explains a simple pshat that even they were so chutzpahdik, they said, right? You know what they said back?
There's no way we're going with you.
Right. Even if you take out.
Who do they mean?
Even if you blind us, we still won't follow you.
Dasan and Aviram, they said, even if you blind us, we're not going up.
Oh, themselves.
Yes, that's what Rashi says on the top line on page 824. Rashi says, Afilato shaleach, even if you send someone linakir to make a hole and blind our eyes, if we don't go up to you, loy na'aleh. So they were very chutzpahdik here. And on that, Moshe got very angry. Well, so Rashi actually says it wasn't a personal anger, rather nitzta'er. Rashi says.
Nitzta'er is like constrained, like to be confined, no? Constrained.
What's mitzta'er?
No. In Eretz Yisrael they say ani mitzta'er. Slicha, ani mitzta'er.
Mitzta'er, which means I apologize.
Well, that's slicha. What's not ani mitzta'er?
What's mitzta'er?
Ani mitzta'er means I am distressed. Similar to I'm sorry, but tsar means like pain. I'm in pain. I'm distressed. So here Moshe he didn't feel angry like personal like you said something chutzpahdik to me, but he felt so bad for them that they were at such a low level. He felt pained, and he said the following words, right? Pasuk Tezvav. Vayomer el Hashem. He said to Hashem, second line on 824. Al teifen el minchasam. They were going to go bring a mincha, an offering to God. So he said, do not turn and do not take in to their gift that they're going to give you, their offering.
Why would he have to say that to Hashem?
This was his own begging.
Yeah, but why? Why would he even have to
do not turn their gift
engage Hashem with this kind of
You're saying it was simple, Hashem wouldn't accept it. Yeah, okay, could be, you have to think about it. But he was begging Hashem, don't listen to their mincha.
I mean, he knew what Korach was representing was contrary to Hashem's ways. So how can he even contemplate that there would be a trial of that nature?
Okay, I'm not sure. We'll have to think about it.
What does that mean? Do not turn to their.
Do not accept their mincha. Let's say you can accept the offering if God will take it with smoke, and the smoke will eat up their offering. So he said, don't accept it, because. And I'll prove it. Moshe said, "I'm sincere. I'm lishma, l'shem shamayim. Lo chamor echad mehem nosasi. I never took one of their donkeys. V'lo harei oisi es achamim. I never did anything wrong to any of these people." So he said, "I never took one donkey. Even when I went to Midian," he says, when he ran away from Mitzrayim, Rashi brings down, and I had to take my wife and my child on a donkey. I didn't even take from the Jews a donkey that should be the car from the office. I didn't even take that one. I took my own. I took my own chamar.
So what's the kesher between those two sentences?
So what is he trying to say with this?
One says, he says, don't take their gift offering. Another one is, I didn't take a donkey from them.
So he's saying, because what was their complaint? Their words right before the pasuk before said, "Kisis tarer aleinu," that you're trying to be a sar on us. A sar means a
burden.
No,
minister.
That's a package. No,
a dictator.
Sar is an officer, right?
Officer.
So Korach came, right? Korach, right? Also, Korach said, "You're trying to dominate over us," right? That's the last verse on 822. Second last verse. He says, "Trying to dominate." So Moshe said, "You think I'm trying to dominate over you and take control and take your money? I never took a donkey from you, not one donkey, and not only that, I also." I never did anything bad to any of you. So how could you accuse me of being dominating over you?
It's kind of like today. He said, I never took even a dime from you or so. I never took
like
a donkey, nothing.
Never took anything from you.
But Korach was apparently no slouch in his knowledge either, though. He was no minor player with his knowledge of Hashem.
He wasn't. No, so. Korach knew a lot. Yeah, but he got. So what are you asking?
No, so if he knew the truth of Hashem from up till now, and
what changed him?
How could he come to such a state?
A feeble-mindedness of his own.
Yeah, no. You see from here what the midos could do to someone. If you have bad midos, then the traits could take a person that they could turn totally illogical.
But even Moshe said to him, he was already picked by Hashem to do as a Levite.
A person is powerless when his bad
It's
midos.
all about
You know,
power. It's
could
all
be
about-
if you have to, let's say, any midah person has, it could turn him evil. It could be, you have to go home, and you see, let's say, a smorgasbord. Let's say they're serving something, and your wife's waiting for you at home. And meanwhile, they're serving all these things, but if you don't eat, then they're going to clear it off. So all of a sudden, it's like a shutdown. The whole panel shuts down. You can't think about it. You have to go home right now.
I'm like that with ice cream. I can understand.
So that was the idea here. That on that Moshe said, I never took anything for myself. I didn't even get reimbursed on that donkey. So therefore, that's what we see. That was the beginning of Moshe's claim to Hashem. But you see from there, what does that mean? He sent for them, right? Moshe sent for them to come. Which means they weren't in front of him, right? That means Dasan and Aviram were not in front of him for the fact that he sent for them, and they refused to come.
Well, I understood it differently. That after the confrontation with Korach and the plan of presenting your offerings to Hashem and Aaron, that he tried to appeal to their inner spirit to talk to them and to make sense. That's how I understood it. That he sent for them.
So he wanted to talk to them. So it's interesting. The Gemara learns out from here, in Mayed Katan, the Gemara says, how do you know that we could summon someone to court and order him to come? Right? We send out a Shliach Bezdin, we'll send a messenger to Bezdin and to give him a warrant to come to Bezdin, because it says in the Pasuk, Vayishlach Moshe Lidoson V'La'aviram. It says Moshe sent for them. So it seems that Moshe, he was the Bezdin. We'll actually see that in one more minute. But it seems that he was ordering them to come to court.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then it says the next line in the Gemara there, that they should come to court. How do you know that, right? Well, that was the first thing. How do you know that you send a messenger to get them? That's from Vayishlach, Moshe sent. And how do you know that you could bring them into court and give them a warrant to come to court? Because it says, the next pasuk coming down, right? Tazayin, it says, right, what's the next verse? Vayomer Moshe el Korach, pasuk 16, Moshe said to Korach, Ata, you, and your whole congregation, Heyu lifnei Hashem, you should appear before Hashem, Ata v'hem, you and them, v'Aaron and Aaron machar. Which means, I'm calling you to a meeting tomorrow with Hashem. So, what is this meeting? So the Gemara learns out from there also, that he was telling them, I'm calling you to court to come tomorrow. That was that part. Lifnei Hashem means in front of Hashem. There's always someone, a rabbi who will be at the court. And it's Ata ve'Aaron. It has to be you and Aaron, because that was the two sides of the dispute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the Gemara goes back and forth. Maybe was Moshe the Bezdin? Was he sent? It seems like he sent a shliach. It goes back and forth on that, and they make a time. The Gemara learns out you have to give a time to Bezdin, because it says machar. He told them come tomorrow, which means not today, because maybe they need time to get ready to prepare what they want to say.
Or a tshuva.
What?
Or
tshuva. Or to do tshuva.
Rethink it before.
Oh, very good. And the Gemara continues, and if they don't come after the first time, then you make another meeting, call them again. The Gemara learns out. And if they don't come another time, so then we're getting up to what they do. They have to put them in chayrim. But then the Gemara says one more thing. How do you know that if you send a messenger, and the messenger comes and says you have to come to the court, and he disgraces the shliach, and he tells him, what are you talking about? Who are you? And he disgraces him.
You mean the people that the shliach is supposed to talk to? Just give the message to that you're being called? Or the person that sent him?
The messenger.
Either one, right? Either one. but the point is, because anyway, the messenger is only representative of court.
Right.
How do you know if he disgraces him, that he's allowed to go back and tell the court, and it's not a problem of lashon hara, right? Let's say you're the shliach bezin, you go, you tell Pliny, I'm bringing you you're summoned to court, and he says, what are you talking about? What type of court is this? Who are you anyway? You're a disgrace. Are you allowed to go back to the court and tell them what he told you?
Yes.
Is that lashon hara? So,
well, the shaliach is supposed to act as if he's the person himself, or the person himself is supposed to be. So he should know.
So the answer is you're right.
It's really that person that's getting that information. So he should get that information from the shaliach, no? Because he's just an entity. He's just an entity of himself.
No, you're right.
Of himself.
Right. Yeah, that's true. No, you're right. Yeah. But the Gemara says you're allowed, and the Gemara learns out from, it's not a problem of lashon hara. Not a lashon hara. Because we learn out from these words that, what did they say? What did Dasan and Aviram reply to the shliach? Right? Moshe sent. Yishlach Moshe. He sent for them to come. Which means, did Moshe go with them? Moshe did not, he wasn't the messenger. And what was their reply?
Lo naleh.
Right. What else did they say?
Even if Moshe takes out our eyes, we won't come.
Right. Right. And they said a lot of things. They said also that you
the land of
milk and honey.
Yeah.
Now, how does the Torah know that Moshe said that? That they said that to Moshe?
Oh, it must have been the shliach.
How does the Torah know?
How do you know? How do we know that they said that reply to Moshe?
The Torah tells us.
How did the Torah know?
So is the Torah.
That was the responsibility of the shliach to say back to the Bet Din what was said.
So Irving says, no, it's not because the Torah is written by God and it's all with Ruach HaKodesh and we know everything. Irving says because the messenger who went to get Dasan and Aviram, they told Moshe the whole conversation, back and forth.
Why do we learn out that that's the way that we understand how Moshe know? Why isn't it that we know because it says in the Torah?
But how do you know? How did Moshe know?
How do we know because it says in the Torah?
How did Moshe know? Who wrote the Torah? Moshe, with Hashem. But Moshe wrote it down, right? So how did Moshe know to write this down?
Hashem.
Because Hashem told him word for word. He dictated what Moshe should write.
Yeah.
He did every other word, no? Isn't every other word from Hashem to
Well, you could learn that he wrote down what happened, right? They came and complained to Moshe. So Moshe could write exactly the story, right? They came and complained, right? But it could be, question is, did Moshe write down what happened? That Hashem, right? It sounds like he wrote down, or did he write down word for word? I hear what you. So
really Moshe, this is the second account. This is the second time he's understanding this, because the first time he wrote it himself in the Torah.
And what was the second time?
And the second time is when it actually happened.
No. He only wrote after it happened. He only wrote down every parasha after it happened. He didn't write it before.
It wasn't all dictated at Matan Torah?
No. How much was given? How much of the Torah was given at Har Sinai?
Sure, that's it.
That's the difference were given, the Ten Commandments. But anything after Parshas Yisro was not given in the Torah.
All the times it says Vayomer Hashem El Moshe, that's another time.
It didn't happen. It's the future. You think God told Moshe the future, the next 40 years? So I would have had a good plan. The Jews don't have to do any Hegel. They don't have to serve the golden calf. Moshe could just tell them, I'll be a day late.
Yeah.
Shlach, don't go. You've miragged them, you're going to speak Lashon Hara. It's a good idea. I already saw in the future. Don't go.
The rock anyway.
And I won't hit the rock either. He wouldn't hit the rock.
What about when he died?
He wouldn't. What?
What about when Moshe died?
Yeah, what about that?
Who wrote it?
The Gemara speaks about that. The Gemara says that either Moshe wrote it in tears, like Hashem told him. Hashem told him then, or Yeshua wrote it. Could be Yeshua wrote those last few psukim.
The Shaliach that was originally for the Bet Din, he then becomes a Shaliach for Daten Avira and Avira. Because he's...
Right, he's both ways. Well, to what? To say that?
Yeah, I mean, but Bet Din sent him to relay this message, say you have to come to... And now the same Shaliach becomes the Shaliach for them to say to...
So is he allowed to? You think?
I don't know.
So the Gemara learns out...
I'm just saying the roles got reversed.
Yeah, he became a Shaliach the other way, but the Gemara learns out, so before Jonathan's question, the Gemara in Moed Katan learns out that it's not a problem. The messenger is allowed to say over anything, just like the Shliach here was allowed to say that Dasan and Aviram said these words. Because if not, how would Moshe have known? Rashi in the Gemara says, Ilav the Shliach the Omar le Moshe, if not for the fact that the Shliach would tell Moshe, Moshe le have a yoda, then Moshe would not have known.
Right.
That's what Rashi brings down.
Well, he could have just said they don't want to come. He could have just told Moshe.
Who could have just told?
The messenger, the Shliach. He could have just said to Moshe they don't want to come without all the extra.
They could have, but they didn't, right? But the messenger of the Bezdin, he's allowed to give over their full words, right? Just like we had by Vashti, that when Achashverosh sent to call Vashti and Vashti didn't want to come, she didn't just say she didn't want to come. She told him that what you used to do, used to clean the stables, and my father could outdrink you by a lot, and the whole message was given over to him. Same type of thing there. So too over here, it's not a problem because the person has to be careful not to speak bad against Bezdin. That's the Gemara. So Jonathan, the truth is asking the Rashash his question. Jonathan, you looked at the Rashash already? In the back of the Gemara is the Rashash. And the Rashash says, how do you know that's the rule, that you're allowed to say over anything that the fellow said? Maybe it was because Kol HaTorah Nichteva, the whole Torah was Nichtav, was written, B'Nevuah. It was written in a prophecy, Mipi HaGevurah, from Hashem. So, why does the Gemara have to say, how did Moshe know it? Why do you have to, you're so bothered? Moshe didn't know it. But that was what the reply was. Hashem said. Hashem wrote down, when they wrote the Torah, Hashem wrote down what happened, what they said. Like you said. That Moshe didn't really know, but the Torah is just writing what their reply was.
So it was the second time.
Or it could have been after. He
didn't actually hear the reply
right.
from the messenger. Is
right.
what he's suggesting.
Right.
It could have just been prophecy.
It was just a prophecy that God said, write down the Torah, and I'm going to have you fill in some blanks that you never knew before. You'll fill in the missing part of the story, right? Sometimes you have missing parts. I'll fill it in. This is what they said about you. That's his question. And the Rashash says, we find that Megillah Esther was written with prophecy, right? Megillah Esther, right? There are a few proofs that the Gemara goes through. Very interesting to go see, but you have to see different proofs that the Megillah was written through divine prophecy also, right? There's a few different proofs, but each one back and forth. I'll tell you maybe one or two of the proofs. Maybe one proof was that it says that the Megillah will keep on being read, and we will never forget about Purim. The Zichram La Yosef will never stop. How does the Megillah know that we'll never forget about Purim and we'll never stop reading it? Must be it was written with prophecy. There's another proof, but the Gemara debates a few of them. One of them was that it said Esther found chen, found favor in all the eyes of all the nations. So the Gemara says, how do you know that she found favor in all the nations? So it must be divine prophecy wrote it. But the Gemara goes back and forth. Maybe on that they saw. Okay, anyway, but that's the question. Based on this, it could be that just like the Megillah was written with Ruach HaKodesh, maybe the Chumash was written, maybe this part of the Chumash was written with Ruach HaKodesh. So, unless you could be that maybe you'll say, well, what was the next part of the pasuk? This is an interesting answer for the Rashash. It says, "Vayicha leMoshe me'od." What was the next verse right after that? It says he gets distressed. Why did he get distressed?
Why, especially why did he get distressed if it was prophecy?
If he didn't, no. If it was
Okay.
prophecy, I understand. Because he heard that they gave him such a bad reply. They said, we're not going up, and you took us out from the land of honey and milk. But according to the way you learned, that he didn't hear the reply, but when he came around to writing the Chumash, then God told him what they said. So why is he getting distressed over here? At that time, he didn't know what they said. At the time when they said the reply, maybe he didn't know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
So you see from here, a proof. This is a proof, maybe, that the shliach, the messenger of Bezin, is allowed to go say over to other people. It's allowed to tell them exactly what was being said over here. That's the proof that they want to say.
So we don't know which is. So
that could be the proof for the answer. That could be the answer to Jonathan's question. You hear this idea? That again, let's go back to the proof. The Gemara learns out that the messenger of Bezdin is allowed to say over whatever the defendant told him, even if it's bad, even if something bad against Bezdin.
Mm-hmm.
What's the source of that? Where do we learn that out from? How do you know that the messenger is allowed to say over whatever he hears?
It was written here?
Right. Well, what do you mean? Deeper, because it was written here. And what was it written here? It was written that Moshe heard the reply from the messenger. Because it says that they said this whole thing, Eine on Nashim, even if you gouge out their eyes, we won't go back.
So how do we know that that's acceptable?
Well, what's that? No, but
that
if
it's acceptable,
if Moshe,
that's not considered lashon hara.
no, because why would Moshe ask the
You're
shliach
saying
Bezdin?
because he listened, we learn that it's acceptable.
Yeah, because the shliach did it, the messenger said it, and Moshe listened, and it got put into the Torah, exactly that part. Right, you hear that idea? That for the fact that the whole reply was written here, that means that Moshe heard this whole reply, because Moshe wrote it down. So how did he know what to write if he didn't hear it? So it must be that the messenger of Bezdin is allowed to write down the reply. He's allowed to say over the reply, even if it's against Bezdin. So that Jonathan says, right? What's the question?
No, I was going to say, but then it could also be explained with the prophecy too.
So Jonathan asked the question, who said that the messenger told Moshe everything that happened? Maybe the messenger did not tell Moshe the reply. He just said, they're not coming up. Just those 4 words. Now you'll ask me, how could, but it says in the Torah that they said this whole reply, which we just read, that Savas Cholav of the Vash, it's the land of milk and honey, it took us out. But it says in the Torah, that means Moshe knew. That means Moshe heard. How did he hear? It must be from the Shliach Bezdin. It must be heard from the messenger. So that Jonathan says no. Maybe Moshe never heard it.
Yeah.
But when it came to time to write the Torah, he had a prophecy to write those words. Just like the whole Torah was written with prophecy. Just like the Megillah was written with prophecy. Like the Megillah was written with prophecy. It says a lot of parts of the Megillah which are Vayomer Haman Belibo. Right? Haman said in his heart. Remember where Haman spoke to his heart in the Megillah? When
he came across Mordechai. How could the whole city be except this one Jew?
Well, tell me if this is another thing. When Achashverosh couldn't fall asleep that night, so there was someone came in the chutzner. Someone came to knock on his door in the middle of the night. So who was it? Haman. So what did Achashverosh tell him? Achashverosh says, I can't sleep. So you know what? I have a problem here.
We
so
should review the Chronicles.
He read the Chronicles. What did the Chronicles say? That there was
Mordechai who saved the king.
So what did the king say to Haman?
What did I do? What would a king do for somebody in this situation?
Achashverosh read his Chronicles and he said, someone help me out. So what he said to Haman, what do you think the king should do for someone who helps the king out? So Haman thought about the question and he said to himself, you know what he said to himself?
Who but me could he be thinking of?
Haman said, who would the king want to help out and do a big, big favor for? If not for me, obviously it's me. And therefore he told Achashverosh, you should have him go in the streets and put him on the king's horse and put the crown on his head and call out, this is what you do to the man of the king. Right? That's all what Haman was thinking. That's from what it... Let me ask you a question. How do you know what Haman was thinking?
Yeah.
Do you have ESP? How do you know what Haman was thinking?
That's it.
What time is it?
I don't have
3 minutes,
ESPN.
but I'll go to the other room if you're still.
No, we're just waiting for you guys.
Oh. Okay. I'll tell the guys to come in.
So how do you know what Haman was thinking in his heart?
Did he say it out loud? He said it.
Vayomer Haman belibo. Haman was thinking in his heart. He said in his heart, who would the king want to honor? Obviously, just me. So it must be me. King, I'll tell you what you should do. You should give him great honors. Bring him on a horse. So how do we know what he's thinking? The
He
answer is...
suggested to the king. He provided his...
How do you know that he was thinking because he wanted it done to himself? Who said that he thought that he would get the honor? Maybe he was doing it because whoever helped out Achashverosh. You see from here that
What does
the
Libo
Megillah
mean?
was written with Ruach HaKodesh. The Megillah was written with divine prophecy.
What is Libo mean?
Ah, Lev.
With it.
It was, he
within-
said it in
yeah,
his heart.
in his heart.
He didn't say out loud. He said it only in his heart.
So it's through prophecy then.
Through prophecy. So you see, the Megillah was written through prophecy. So for sure the Chumash could be written through prophecy. So who said Moshe heard that reply? Maybe he never heard the reply. But later, at the end of his life, when he wrote down the whole Chumash, Hashem told him, fill in the blanks. Write down those words. These words that I'm going to tell you, you don't know what they told you, but I'll tell you right now.
Beautiful.
This is Jonathan and the Rishash's question. And on that, you have to give that answer from the fact that he got distressed. That seems to be the answer. The fact that Moshe got distressed seems that we heard the answer. It wasn't just, he didn't hear the answer, he wrote it in later. He heard it because he got distressed now.